Stop the presses. It's snippet time. Hello and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free so we can heal our relationships, feel youthful again, and ditch regret and shame. Well, we do our best to live alcohol-free, don't we? We're trying. We're doing our best. That's all we can ask. Gals, I got a story for you today. And I actually told this story before, but you know what? It's like a year and a half ago, so we really need to hear this. But before I start, just sharing a little update for you. I'm currently doing Juicy January Sobriety Challenge, which is my version of a dry January. And it's going so well. I'm so impressed, so happy with the women in there, sharing so much love and support. It's just amazing and just fills my heart with joy. But there are things I'm hearing from these women that made me think it was time for us to hear this story again. This is the story of Emily and her little boy, Justin. They're really quite ordinary people. They live a fairly happy life, the ordinary ups and downs. Nothing really out of the ordinary about these two, just average, everyday mother and son. Emily and Justin's father had split up several years before. They had a fairly amicable divorce. Justin spent some of his time with his father. And there it was. Emily was going about her daily life. So was Justin, off to school every day. Nothing out of the ordinary, just your ordinary people. And then one day, on the way home from school, Justin was hit by a car and killed. Emily could not survive this. Justin was absolutely fine, because when we get to the end of life, we really are fine. All of our worries are over, but Emily could not survive this. She knew that she was supposed to try, but she couldn't do it. And she realized that it would be impossible for her to live even one more day without Justin. This was simply, for her, something that she could not survive. I think we can all relate to that. So she tried for a few days and she just despaired. She thought, well, I can only think of one way out. I cannot live like this. But before taking that way out, she fell on her knees in prayer and she started praying and praying and praying for help. And suddenly she felt God's presence and she realized she wasn't alone. And her heart was so full of pain that she just cried out to God, God, please, please don't ask me to survive this. I know that others have before me, but I cannot do it. I can't survive this. I can't go on. You have to give me Justin back, or I'm going to leave this earth. Now, God, knowing that the last thing we should ever do is end our own lives, because all it means is that we're going to have to learn our lessons over again a little bit later on. It's pointless. We escape nothing. So God needed to talk Emily out of this. So he said to her, you know what? I can feel how deeply painful this is for you, Emily, and I actually believe you're right. I believe that you are not able to carry on without Justin. And I don't want you to hurt yourself. So I am going to give you a break. Emily, here's what I'm going to do. All you have to do is find me one family somewhere in your city, somewhere in the town in which you live. Just find me one family who has not experienced the loss of a loved one. Forget about it, actually. You know what, Emily? Just find me one person. Just one person who has not experienced loss. And when you bring me that person, I will give you Justin back. Well, Emily spent months going door to door, seeking, and she could not find anyone who had not experienced the loss of a loved one. She just couldn't. There was nobody. But of course, by the time she realized this, she also realized that she could live without Justin, that others had done it, that it was part of the cycle of life, that she was strong enough and that taking the easy way out would get her nowhere. It's important for us to remember we're not alone, no matter what we're going through. And when we run off to the bottle, it just doesn't help, does it? It's such a temporary. I wish I'd known this earlier. I wish I'd found the strength earlier to live my life without the crutch of alcohol, but I didn't. I couldn't find the strength. I didn't know how until I was 52. And when that happened, it was a gift from God. I know that now. That God tore my life to shreds in the fall of 2018 so that I would suffer so badly, I would finally surrender and find my way to sobriety. We have to look at our neighbors. Every human being you see on the street has suffered. This is one of the things we learn when we get together in a group. When we get together with others and we start sharing our story, it's the first thing you will notice. There it is. Every single human has suffered. It's just part of being a human, isn't it? But it doesn't mean we can't be joyous. It doesn't mean we can't be happy. It doesn't mean we have to walk around every day struggling to survive the difficulties of life. We can learn to be joyous and happy regardless of what we've been through. And that is what recovery is. And I just rejoice in the opportunity to help women do that because I've learned how to do it. I've sat down and I've done the work. 2018 was 7 years ago, and I have spent those 7 years working to get over this inner angst. You know that angst that's just there? It's gnawing at you, whether it's fear or sadness or anger or regret or shame or all of those. We can get over them. And I want that for you gals. So whatever you've been through, know that you're not alone. You don't even have to look very far. The next human being you see, trust me, they've suffered. And we don't suffer any more than our neighbors. It might seem to us like, well, they suffered loss, but it didn't seem to bother them. They don't feel as deeply as I do. That's not true. That is not true. And it doesn't have to be a horrifying loss like a child or a partner. When we've been numbing with alcohol, the everyday events of life can become to us overwhelming because we've numbed our ability to cope. We don't know how to cope anymore because we're always running to a bottle of wine. So it's time to step up. And it isn't that difficult. It really isn't. As long as we don't try and do it alone, with the right support, it's easy to keep going. And now I'm happy to tell you there is the right support for women over 40, professional women who are high functioning, but living with this horrible monkey on our backs. You see, when I got sober, there was nothing designed for us. I was sent to programs that were not for me, and so I had to figure it out on my own. It was very difficult and took way longer than it was supposed to take, or way longer than it needs to take. So now I'm here, and I've worked really hard over the last 5 years to get ready for you. So when you're ready, I'm ready, and all you have to do is go to the show notes and book a call, and we'll get together and have a chat. And in the meantime, I'm rooting for you. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.